Hi folks, this is May. Today I'm going to be trying to present my build, potentially in a way that is coherent, probably not coherent, but I did at least write it all down so that if you're watching, you can pause it and read what I've written here at your own pace, and the information should still be the same, probably better because it's written versus just me trying to do this live commentary thing alongside this picture here that I've made, which I'm calling the flowchart of madness, because I was having a really hard time figuring out how to like get this build out verbally with people, because it's like a lot to do initially, or it feels like a lot to do. It's not really, but it's a few things. Um, so I guess first things first, uh, you are going to need at least tier 1 for this. The Indomitable thing is pretty good, specifically because max Retribution stacks are enabled basically at all times because of it. Uh, that's why I like that one, or that's why I think that's mandatory for this build. Okay, so let's talk about the build. The build is basically just self-damage that triggers Retribution, and then that allows you to just output more damage overall. And as soon as you get your rotation going, you're basically cutting your ability downtime by 50%. So it feels good. On top of that, it's pretty ammo efficient, with the exception of maybe Calamity Ops, where like you start running into the issue of I don't have a Hellhest, so I'm kind of screwed on heavy. And I don't know if it's true or not, but we tried to do some triple Jolder runs the other day, and we were getting so screwed on heavy. Like, a few bricks per run, that might be the way it's paced out, but oh my god. Like, Hellhest feels mandatory uh, for a Jolder run. So, let's talk about the weapon here. I don't really have too much to say other than what's highlighted here. You want to use your heavy attack when it's full or about to be full. I have tested this. It works about 80% of the way you can start going. There's a 1 second charge time or attack time between when you press the heavy button and when you actually shoot. So by the time you hit that throw, it will hit 100% again. So I tested that. The damage is fine. It works out as long as you hit it right. It's a little bit more risky, but it's faster, and reload canceling is the same kind of concept, just way earlier. So it's kind of a reload cancel for a sword, which is weird. Aside from that, 20% extra damage on those heavy attacks. So again, just another chunk of damage. Heavy attacks deal an extra 20%. Just more damage, weapon hit damage, or weapon hit damage, weapon blast damage, sorry. Weapon blast, weapon hit, blast again. The mag capacity is sort of important, but I don't think it's the thing that makes or break the weapon. This I do like a lot because it brings it down. I think this is actually 3 seconds, not 2. I haven't tested it like with a clock kind of deal. I just kind of gone 1, 2, 3. But yeah, so there's that. These are the weapon stats right now for me. The heavy attack perk is called, or that procs when you do your heavy attack, is called Battle Cry. It's a 25% swing speed increase, 25% light attack damage up for 4 seconds. I did write a note here that I play more like bait and switch and on guard from Destiny 2, which is like hit something with your weapon, then swap back to your other weapon, and it'll do more damage. for bait and switch, and then for on guard, it's just pulling out a sword deals a increased period of damage for X amount of time. In this, I like doing the bait and switch more because it's just play normally, use your abilities because the abilities are up all the time, basically, and use your SMG for other crap, stuff at range, stuff when you want to not use a bunch of ammo. Enhanced form, again, I didn't really start testing this until way later because this was not an intentional thing. I just kind of did the thing that I enjoyed and people enjoyed it. So, and I ran into the right people to get information moved around and like prove myself to the people that mattered, I guess.
Captain at the very beginning, right?
That was a good hit there, man.
Thank you.
Freaking. You are so damn masterful with that sword.
Thank you. So, yeah. So I guess let's move on to the damage upgrade portion for the sword and SMG that I use for this build, which is the Partridge Sky and the Kulfi. For Partridge Sky, all the damage boosts that go into this build: Artifact Jolted Transit, 37% body shot damage. Because it's a sword, it's only going to be doing body shot. With the exception of maybe during Expanse, there's a mod that lets you do precision damage, so that might work. The other passive ones are Solar Boost and Weapon Enhancement. Just straight damage increases. Relic ability, this is another 10% damage for weapon. Super is another 12%. And casting the super itself and having Barrier of Starlight is another 20%. And that actually lasts for 26 seconds, 25 realistically, because it starts at, I mean, I guess it's technically 26, but you're going to see 25 when you get it, when you leave your barrier. Yeah, it's nice. The actual damage part of this, I think my ideal stuff is going to be something like offensive mods, solar weapon damage, weapon ability damage, and then either super or signature ability for the 4th slot. And then for the defensive ones, it's going to be healing boost, shield boost, health boost, and defense boost. I don't know if that's actually what they're called right off the top here. Yeah, but like a lot of this is not fully set in stone yet. This is just what I'm using currently, but that's probably what I'm going to end up with. Let's see. What's another thing that's boosting it? Retribution stacks here. So I don't know exactly how this works out, like math-wise, but what I have been told is that Retribution works out to 9 times whatever your Retribution stacks are per hit. And so Partridge Sky does 10 hits per hit, plus an extra, I don't remember exactly what the tick rate is, but it's hit and then 5 seconds of just damage over time. So that used to take away those Retribution stacks, but it does not now. So what you can do is just do a few heavier attacks in a row. What we did find out today is that you can't build Retribution stacks while you have Retribution stacks. So that's kind of annoying. I didn't realize that was the case between the 10.10 patch and now. I actually liked the patch before, but having sat down and like done my like actual sit down and figure out how my fucking build works kind of stuff, I kind of do miss the interaction with the Retribution stacks going away on dot, just because it means that I can proc my other one more. But my workaround to this now is just I have to swap over to the Kulfi now, to drain those stacks faster. Or if I'm in ground rage, I can just do light attacks for the 4 seconds. I think that's perfectly reasonable too. And then the rampaging radiation for the final thing here. That is 24% damage at maximum, and that kind of just fluctuates because you have... It's not a refreshing timer for the 10 seconds. It's like 3 10-second timers each time you do a buff. So it's kind of not random, but it might as well be random on when you're losing your like 3 stack or whatever. Because unless you can juggle 3 timers in your head, it doesn't matter. You're just gonna do your thing. And then same thing here. The only thing that's different is I just took out solar because it doesn't do anything for that. But yeah, that's the weapon portion. So let's move on down to the fun part. So rampaging radiation is going to be killing you, and you're going to be generating rage from every single tick of that rampage. And so the idea is basically to get your self-damage started, to slam, reset your abilities to 50% each, and then just go to town with whatever else you have in your kit until your slam is back up or your shield is back up. And you basically always want to throw your shield out first so that your slam is not wasted, not getting energy back. However, there's 2 ways you can do the slam recall. You can either do a toss, recall, slam, or you can do a faster... It's like half a second faster, and it does a fraction of damage more, but it is faster, which is just throw, slam, and that gets you to 3 stacks as well. Let me go back and explain the stacks real quick. So what I mean by stacks is every time you use an ability, you're going to get a stack of rampaging radiation. It's nowhere on the HUD visually, unfortunately, which sucks. I wish I could see that. But with Jolder in particular, you can... Well, not even Jolder in particular. Just with abilities, activations count as a trigger. So for Jolder, you toss out your shield, and if you use Q, that counts as a recall for your shield. Right here, recalling the shield or letting it expire. The other thing is, if you already were in combat before this, and you like already had a bar going, or you had like rage going already, you can kind of just like open however you want. It goes freeform as soon as you get 13 stacks. Trying to think what else I can talk about with the rotation portion. Once you get to a certain point, like Outrage here gets you Indomitable, which gets the Retribution stacks going. Basically, just as long as you're doing the tried and true MMO tactic of always be casting, you're going to be succeeding with your damage loop and like maintaining at least a ×2 stack, but a lot of the times you're going to be hitting that ×3. And then as you get more tiers of Jolder, you're just going to be getting better and better. Like tier 2 is an overshield for your teammates. Tier 5 makes the shield stronger. Tier 6 goes crazy. And then tier 3 is also a really good one because it mitigates this rampage a lot. Okay, so let's talk about mitigation. You're taking up to 36% of your health in damage per second. So you're basically trying to counteract that as hard as you can constantly. The good news is that if you're doing her rotation, like, you basically cannot die unless there's a sniper and you were already at half health. Ring of Abundance I'm using, so it gives me more overshield and healing all the time, because you get the overshield from Starlight, or Shield of Starlight. You get the self-heal from Skyfall Slam, and you get a huge bonus later on with a 60% regen here. You're also getting 45% health when your shield gets broken with Ring of Safeguard. Um, so yeah, those are the main pieces there. And then for the relics, I talked about it earlier. The only ones that really matter in my current build are healing bonus, shield boost, because again, that's a huge healing increase. And then I get some passive healing as well, on top of outrage healing, or rather thorns healing, which I don't even have on this infographic, but that's a chunk of healing on itself, which you're constantly getting because you're constantly getting back to full rage. Ta-da! I'm actually still in game. Hello. All right. So this is the only mechanic I don't think I have discussed on this sheet, and that would be thorns. So this is part of what's making her go crazy, is that rage down there. 92 health per second. When it's full, 248. If she has an overshield, overflow is turned into overshield. So if you throw your shield out first, get an overshield, and slam, you just kind of go crazy. Also, apologies for my voice. I guess I'm not used to talking this long. And then because I'm using Partridge Sky, Solar Boost is always in effect. Not always. Every 10 seconds I'm getting a kill back that'll give me health. So a lot of just big recovery from just taking damage, which you're doing all the time. And then you just can't die because you're Jolder. This seems interesting. I don't know if it triggers if you're like natural recovery but taking damage from Rampage. And then if you wanted to just negate it entirely, you just pop your super. So, yeah. Oh, you know what? No. I haven't talked about this yet. Alright, so Starlight Shield. This thing is crazy at tier 6 because at 10 stacks of Starlight here, you just get the shield back. And for each enemy you hit, you get to increase its damage 10%. And I don't know if that maintains a certain time, or if it's just on the, like, let's say you hit 3 enemies out, you're doing 30%, and then 40% on the pullback, depending on how many people you hit. But either way, it seems to go crazy, especially when you get like 2 champions back to back, like on the pit this run, or this cycle's Calamity Ops. If I can line up those shots of any of those champions or those boss characters, you can just throw the shield back and forth like a freaking yo-yo, and then slam, get it back, and then just go womp 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 again. And it just chunks them. And if they don't die, you just use Partridge. But yeah, that's a big one. Trying to think what else here. I guess thanks for watching.